Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Timo Parker, I'm a vocal coach and I'm here to help you to improve your singing voice. In today's video I want to talk about how your practice routine should look like, things that you can do to optimize it, because let's face it, we all just have a limited amount of time per day. So let's look at ways to optimize your singing practice to get the most out of it. We are going to look at the things that you should focus on when you practice and also how to do it. So let's dive right into it. So first of all, you have to figure out how much time you have available for the day. Because the more time you can put into your practice, the quicker you will see results, but also it depends on how efficient your practice actually is. Because practicing without any goal or without any focus will also not help you to make great progress. So step one, figure out how much time you have available per day, and then let's move on to the things that you should focus on. And I want to start with something that doesn't require you to sing out loud. It is part of being a musician, of being a singer, and that is ear training. You should definitely spend some time on developing a great ear. That can be done by learning songs by ear, listening to a melody, figuring out what intervals you're hearing, and also ear training in general. There are great ear training programs out there and available. And also, if you're interested in an ear training video, how to practice, leave a comment below. I'm happy to make a video about it. Ear training is so important because every sound that we produce either on an instrument or singing, where the voice is our instrument, we first have to project the sound in our head. So the sound originates in our mind. And that's why it is so important to know, for example, as a singer, where the melody goes, really know the interval jumps between each note. And the best way to do it is just take it very slow and learn a song note by note. And there might be some songs that are very easy, where you can just listen through and after 3-4 times of listening to the song you have the melody down. But there are other songs that require a bit more focus, so in this case I would go phrase by phrase, a method that we will come back in a later point in this video. But basically you want to make sure that you can sing the melody without the backing track or without the actual song playing, and that you can imagine all the right notes in the right order. Because sometimes you really think we nailed the song, but there might be some spots where you have to work on a little more. Also something, record yourself when you practice. I made a video about it, I will link it here. That can help you to identify which notes you might not hearing very well yet. So now we're gonna move on and we talk about actual singing practice. And the first thing I suggest you to do is working on your technique. I mean, this channel is mainly dedicated about singing technique. If this is the first video you're watching, you can head over to this playlist where I talk about basic voice anatomy, and I also give a lot of exercises to get you started. So in the technique part, you want to make sure that you are training muscles that help you to grow your voice. So for example, I mentioned some of these muscles already on this channel. One would be the yawning muscle. You can find it in the playlist. I'm also gonna link the separate video here. Or for example, that you are able to move your velum, so your sound is not stuck in your nose. These are just examples, by the way, also the video I'm gonna link here. But these examples just illustrate potential problems that you might have, or just things that you have to continuously work on to strengthen these muscles and to keep them fit and make them bigger and stronger so your voice can actually grow. And just because it is so important, I think the most important things that you have to focus on in the beginning is to strengthen the yawning muscle and stretch the swallowing muscle, and for example also making sure that you're not using any air pressure when you sing. But I go more into detail with these exercises in the playlist. So now we know what to practice. The question is, how do we practice technique? And there's one trap that a lot of people fall into, which is just sing along with a backing track. In general, if you're not playing an instrument, a backing track is a great way to give you reference notes and to make sure that you are also hitting different notes in your range and you're not always staying in the same area. But the problem is that sometimes the backing track might move a little too fast for you and you have to stop. And what you want to do if you want to focus on something in particular to improve it, you want to make sure you take your time, and that means also a lot of stopping and trying again. And if you are singing with a backing track from the beginning till the end and you are not stopping while you're making mistakes, this is a problem, and that's why you should make sure that if there's a challenging part in your practice, that you stop right there and you tackle it. Because when we practice, we want to practice things that we can't do yet. because this way we make sure that we improve. If we just rely on the things that we already can do, that we already know, we won't grow. So that's why it is important that whenever you face a challenge, not only in the technical part, but also in your repertoire, that you slow it down and you focus on this particular thing that causes you problems. So especially if your time is limited, don't jump around and do 100 exercises, just do 1 or 2 and really get it down. Like really focus on the things that you want to improve instead of doing a lot of things, because this way you're making sure that you will really master this thing that you're focusing on, and next time, next week or next month, depending on how much time it will take for you, you can go on and incorporate new exercises, new things that you have to learn and that you have to improve. If you are done with the technique part of your practice, I would suggest you move on and you learn new material. That could include songs, just a certain phrase that you're working on, if it's maybe a difficult riff or a melody, whatever you're working on, just spend some time on new material that you can learn and use in your repertoire. And this is where the ear training part comes in handy. You could even combine these 2 steps, because before you're gonna be able to sing a new song, you first have to get it into your ear. Or if you're sight reading it from music sheet, that's also a possibility. But first of all, we have to be able to produce this melody in our head. And you could use your ear training part for this to learn the new melody, and then when you are learning the new song, you could spend this time to really get it into your instrument, into your voice, and figure out all these interval jumps and some things that might be challenging. And especially if you're learning a new song, make sure you're not just singing from the beginning till the end and you maybe make a lot of mistakes in between. Learn the song phrase by phrase. Just take a little phrase, a little part of the song, and repeat it, let's say 5 times in a row without mistake. And this way you make sure you really have this phrase down, and then you move on to the next phrase. And it really doesn't matter how many phrases you're going to be able to cover in your practice session. Just make sure that the phrase you're working on, you really have it down before you move on to the next one. This way it's almost like a puzzle where you put one piece after another down until the whole picture comes together. And most of the times this is the most effective way to learn a song. And some songs that might be easier, you will be able to put these pieces down very quickly, and in others it will take much longer. And this is a very common mistake that a lot of people make, just listening to a song from the beginning to the end 100 times. This will actually help you already a great deal to get the melody down, but there might be some spots that you have to work on a little more, and instead of just rushing through the song all the time, you take your time and create your little puzzle. And now we come to a very important point when you learn a new song. Make sure you learn the melody and the way you sing the song with a proper technique. Make sure that all these exercises that you have done previously in the technique section of your practice, that you incorporate these feelings into the song. Because what happens to a lot of people is that they do these exercises, this technique part of their practice very well, and then they start making music and all the technique is just thrown overboard. So really make sure that you incorporating all these movements that you practiced previously in the technique part of your practice and start incorporating it straight away into songs that you are learning. Because this way you just have to learn the song once and it maybe takes a bit longer, but you have it down. It's much harder to relearn a song that you have been rushing through for months or even years, and you have to relearn some movements and patterns. So really take your time, make sure the melody is solid and also your technique is solid. And when we are talking about high notes or difficult parts in a song, it is really important that we spend some extra time on these parts and that we are not just trying to avoid these sections. That's the thing that might be obvious, but still some people just rush through these sections because they don't feel comfortable with them. And what we want to do is we take these sections, for example, this very high note in the song, or transition from a high note to a very low note, and we want to focus on them and we want to make them the most comfortable section in the whole song. We want to practice them so much that these sections don't cause any trouble anymore. Instead, we are looking forward to this section because we have practiced it so much, but just don't get over ambitious. If it's not working, let it go, try it next day, try it next week, next month. At some point, these things will develop, but it's important that you are kind to yourself and you're not pushing anything that maybe doesn't want to happen in this moment. So we have to find a healthy balance between we are not just avoiding these sections and also we are not overdoing them. And we want to meet in the middle and make sure we are tackling these issues, but also with a soft persistence without forcing anything. And the next part of your practice should focus on reviewing some material that you previously learned. So for example, songs that you already know the melody of, where you kind of have the technique down and you just want to review it and keep it fit. So reviewing material is not only fun because you already know the melody, you kind of mastered the technique behind it, you know how to sing each phrase, and also it will help you to grow your voice. Because if you incorporated proper technique into the song, you will use this proper technique every time you sing the song, and this will strengthen your muscles. So this is actually the bread and butter section of your practice where you really get some nice muscle training in. So instead of spending too much time on the technical part, we want to put it into something practical and we want to sing songs. So this will help us to grow and maintain our instrument. And this is also the opportunity for you to focus a little more on your expression. So focus in on things like which emotion I want to transport, what does the song mean to me, and what do I want to say with this song. So this is actually also a quite fun part to do. And even though you're reviewing material, you're singing songs that you already know, you could use this advantage to do some things with it, tweak it a little. For example, you can focus on incorporating new sounds, new muscle movements that you previously practiced in your technical part of the practice, and trying to get this into the song. So it's a great potential to explore new sounds and incorporate new muscle movements. But also what you could do to use this song as a little exercise, so to say, is that you could transpose the song, maybe higher or even lower, and you will be surprised because if you sing in head voice, sometimes transposing a song lower will actually be the greater challenge than the other way around. So don't be afraid to try out new keys and try out different things with a song that you already know. If this song is done and you're really confident with the song, just put it aside and review a different song. And at some point you're gonna have a list of songs that you can review. And sometimes maybe you just come back to a song every week or every second week or so. And that's all you need to keep this song present in your mind. That's, for example, a great thing to have is like a repertoire list where you have some songs written down. This way you can see, okay, which song I haven't practiced in a while, pick this song and just make sure to keep it fresh and nice in your system. And some of you might ask, how long should I spend on each part? And that really depends on the time that you have available. And that's why I like to work with percentages. And I just give you a rough guideline that I would suggest to use for your practice. So for ear training, we want to use around 10%, for technique 25%, for new songs around 30%, and reviewing material around 35%. We want to make sure that we get the technique part in, but the most important thing is reviewing material and making sure that we singing songs that we know and strengthen our muscles. And that's why I think it's a great idea to spend a little bit more time on reviewing material, making sure that we sing them in a way that we can actually grow with it, and the other 30% to learning new songs. And each of these 4 sections are equally important, and just make sure to adjust the sections to your personal needs. Maybe you right now have to learn more material and you don't have so much time to review older songs. That's fine, then you can bump up the percentage there. And if your job requires you to sight read a lot, this would be also something that you should focus on in your practice, something around 5 to 10%, and then just take some percentages here and there away. And then you have a well-rounded practice schedule, and don't be afraid to adjust it to your needs. Alright, I hope this video helped you to schedule a nice, well-rounded practice schedule for you. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it and subscribe to my channel. I have more voice content planned on this channel, so make sure to not miss out on it. And I see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.